Hello to everyone. But I wanted to share something with you that kind of caught me by surprise in the fact that I learned a lesson that I was not expecting. And believe it or not, this lesson came from my fish tank of all places. And anybody who knows me, they know I love and enjoy my 75-gallon saltwater reef tank. So recently, I was attempting to remove one of the anemones out of my tank. I was attempting to remove one of the anemones out of my tank. I was doing this because I was looking to do a trade with my local fish store in order to get this huge piece of rock that would have cost me more money than I wanted to spend. So my intentions were to grab the rock and then that the anemones were sitting on and then pull it out, and then that way I could get to the foot of the anemone to remove it. So unbeknownst to me, that while I was lifting the rock out that I thought the anemone was attached to, which it was, there was a part of it along its side that was also attached to another rock. I didn't realize it. I wasn't paying close enough attention. But I lifted it up and then I noticed this other piece of rock hanging and then fall. And I was like, oh no. And what had happened was, because that anemone had attached itself to this other piece of rock, it literally ripped a piece of out of the side of the anemone and left this mass, which did not look pretty at all in the tank. And I just knew I had destroyed this anemone that I've had for some time now. And prosper. Like I said, I just knew that I had destroyed this anemone. I had two of them in there. So of course, I went through the process, was able to extract the other anemone that was still healthy and strong out in order to do what I wanted to do. So when I got back home after making the transactions and all of this, I'm, just dreading, just knowing my beautiful rose bubble tip anemone was going to die. But what I noticed was, over the course of the next couple of days, the rock that the injured anemone was attached to, he had started to move. And he moved from the surface of the one rock he had been on for a long period of time, and then moved into the crevice of another rock. And as it moved down to that rock, it began to dig deeper and deeper, move itself deeper and deeper into it. And what it was doing was hiding or protecting that section of it that had been basically ripped open. And then, to my great surprise, I looked over at the other little small piece of rock that the mass, the flesh that was left over that had ripped off from this anemone was on, and it had literally started to enclose itself over what I would call as entrails that were exposed. And then it began to move to another location. And I went in and told my wife what was going on, and we both were like, God does some amazing things in his creation. But that's not what I learned. Because to a certain extent, that's obvious for those of us who believe in God's creation. What I truly believe God began to show me was this, that with that anemone ripping, it's almost representative like us. There are things that happen to us in our lives that cause a ripping. And in that ripping, it feels like we're going to be destroyed, like we're going to die. And we're left oftentimes with these open wounds. And sometimes those wounds are visible, which are shown through emotions, through with our emotional state, through spiritual, through our actions, through things that we end up doing because of these wounds that are happening to us. And sometimes they're internal. Some of us can be good at covering up our wounds. Sometimes we can be good at masking them, acting like we're not hurt when we actually are. And God began to show me that just like that anemone, Sometimes that ripping is on purpose. And with like that anemone did, it moved in deeper into that rock to protect itself. God began to say, this is what I do with my children. This is what I do with you. I draw you into me even closer. I draw you even closer into me and deeper, bearing those wounds and those hurts within me. And then I keep you covered and protected while you're going through the healing process. But the thing is, the lesson didn't stop there. It went over to that mass that was left that had enclosed in upon itself. And then what God began to show me was this, that in spite of our wounds that we're going through, that ripping that we felt, that pain of it, and sometimes seeming like we're not going to make it, God is saying, I'm using that very thing to create new life. And that new life may be just within you. That new life may be because now, because of what you have gone through, you are now able to help somebody else who has been ripped, who has been left open, wounded, and help them in a way that you would not have been able to help them before. Because now you know what it's like to be ripped open, but you also know what it's like to be hidden within the rock of God. You know what it's like to be healed and still on the outside looking beautiful and flourishing like my anemone started to do. And you could see everything just waving around looking like there was no wound whatsoever. And what we do then is at that point, we acknowledge the fact that God, you found me worthy enough to allow me to go through the ripping, not only for my benefit, but for the benefit of somebody else, and more importantly, for your glory. See, a lot of us, we want the blessings of God, but do we want the ripping that sometimes comes along with that? Do we want to be used by God in a manner that will cause us pain? There are vessels for honor and for dishonor. There are vessels that will be nailed. There are vessels that will be seemingly destroyed by life circumstances. But all the while, God is using those individuals, each and every one of you, to show forth who he is, to show his attributes, to show his character, to show his healing power, to show the fact of his love in keeping you through this, and the fact that he loves somebody else so much that he either allowed or even caused you to go through what you went through so that you could help them. God designed us to be able to help one another. He designed us to reflect him in the earth. And sometimes in order to do that, to have that reflection, there has to be a ripping. So I want to tell you, I want to encourage you that no matter what you are going through right now, and believe me, I understand. Believe me, I can identify with the ripping and the pain. It is not meant to destroy you, but it's meant to draw you closer and deeper into him and to create new life, not only within yourself, but within others. And all of it is giving glory back to God. So I hope this encourages somebody to let them know, to let you know that it's not over. You may still feel the pain, but God has you hidden within himself so that you will be made whole and bring new life. Be blessed.